everybody. Welcome to another segment of Smarterfan podcast where we bring you behind the veil of sports, business, and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you feeling tonight, Barry?
Joe, what a weekend.
Mm,
What a weekend of sports action. I
I'm
think I pull a
telling you.
hamstring. I think I pull a hamstring, Joe. I think I pull a hamstring. Oh my goodness, the drama, the pageantry. It was a good weekend. How about you, my friend?
Yeah, it was a good weekend for me too.
Good,
I
good.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed the games, and we're gonna talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it, my friend. Good
Uh,
stuff.
but in the Super Bowl tradition, I'm gonna talk about one Joe Namath.
Joe Willie.
That's right. That's right. Okay, he's from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, and he was the youngest of four boys.
Mm,
And he excelled in all sports in high school. He was a standout quarterback. He was a guard in basketball, and he played
mm.
the outfield in baseball.
Oh wow. I didn't even know that. I didn't
Oh
even know
yeah,
he had older brothers.
yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
um, and went back when it wasn't fashionable. He was regularly dunking the ball in basketball games.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And he said he was the only white starter on the team. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's funny, Joe Willie. I
Yeah.
wonder. I want you should do a show of how did he get recruited from Pennsylvania to Alabama. You
Mm.
should do a show because you're good at history. Just an idea. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, he when he graduated high school, he got a lot of offers from major league teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, because he was that good in baseball. So,
Wow.
but his mother wanted him to get a college education, so he chose football.
Oh, okay.
So he went to Alabama on a full scholarship under Bear Bryant from 62 to 64. Now, he led the Tide to a 29-4 record over 3 years and a national championship in
Mm,
64.
mm,
So now he had cartilage damage in his knee,
yeah.
and that made him ineligible for military service in Vietnam.
Oh, that's how he got around that.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was designated 4F. So now he was drafted by the Cardinals and the Jets.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Thank
because the
goodness.
NFL and the AFL were having those bidding wars back then.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but he signed with the Jets for what was then a record $427,000 over 3 years.
Man, that was some paper back then.
I'm telling you, man. Now, after appearing on the cover of SI, one of his linemen nicknamed him Broadway Joe, and it stuck.
It stuck.
So he was named Rookie of the Year in 65. And in 67, he was the first pro quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in a season.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Joe Willie.
Yeah. Now in 69, he made his legendary prediction before Super Bowl III. And then he went out and delivered.
Yep. Yep.
So, he upset the Colts and won MVP, you know. And the latter part of his career, he was injury riddled.
Yeah.
And but
Couldn't
yet,
move. Yeah.
yeah, but yet he was offered a huge contract to jump to the WFL.
Oh yeah. He puts people in seats.
Yeah. But what happened was he wanted 15% of the league's TV revenues. And
Smart.
they said, never mind. So, and he finished his career with the Rams, and nagging knee and hamstring injuries prompted him to retire.
Hmm.
So, but he had a pretty good career, I would say, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, think about this stat. Think about this stat, Joe.
Mhm.
For 40 years, he's milked that.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
For 40 years, he has milked that Super Bowl number 3 win.
Mhm. Yeah.
That he's still in the lexicon of people's mind.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Definitely.
That it's amazing. But you know what? You probably couldn't do it anywhere else if you were in another market but New York.
That's right. That's right. And Bear Bryant was, under Bear Bryant's tutelage, that was an example of coaching is the key.
The who?
Coaching is the key.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
what's your take on coaching as the key?
Well, my friend, this weekend really, in my humble opinion, these playoffs was the key. Whether you go back to the Ravens and the poor vision, the poor
Mm,
guidance, the lack of vision on Harbaugh, and I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's just it's just pervasive throughout the league. It's just lazy coaching. When you get a
mm,
talent, you I don't know what it is. He still needs guidance. You still need direction. You still need,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And you look at the Chiefs, the difference.
Mm,
That wizard of Andy Reid and his ability to be flexible and adaptable, which is
yes.
the same thing you see in a Belichick, just in a different form. But Belichick's greatest success is his ability to adjust.
Yeah.
So you could literally get a different team in the second half.
That's right. That's
So
right.
you see what I'm saying? So if you're his opponent and you're stuck on your game plan because that's all you thought about, then they come out and do something different. Who you think has the advantage,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So and then you look at Philadelphia, you know, and how they've I call it growing pains, And somebody asked me, Joe, they said, "Do you think Philadelphia will win?" I said, "Philadelphia will win if Jalen Hurts doesn't get in his ego and throws the ball. But if he
Mm.
tries to be MVP or run the ball and think it's all about him, they'll lose. They'll lose. They'll lose." And then you see what's happening with the Commanders, which says, you know, they got themselves. It's a growing process. You know what I mean? It's a
Mm.
growing process, and
Yeah.
they're only going to get better. Quinn has got them,
Yep.
and they need a couple veterans on both sides of the ball to kind of
Hmm.
settle guys in and show them how to win. But the talent is there. The
Oh, yeah.
drive is there,
Definitely.
and Quinn is doing a great job. And that again makes a difference of coaching. It can make your
Yes.
career or break your career. Like a good boss can make your career or break your career.
Hmm.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing in sports,
Definitely.
and that's the real secret sauce in my aspect when it comes to coaching. I'm a big believer in great coaching. I mean, you think about Ben Wallace, for who used to play for the Pistons, right?
Hmm.
Probably if he didn't go to the Pistons, we would never know Ben Wallace
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
or Dennis Rodman or Scottie Pippen
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they didn't go to big schools. They didn't make a big splash, but somebody saw something in them and they got into organizations that developed them.
Mm. Yeah.
And I'm gonna stop right there.
Well, speaking of coaching, the Commanders, they were the victims of Saquon's 118 yards rushing and his 3 touchdowns, turnovers,
Yeah.
and stupid penalties.
Yep.
That's what killed them right from the get.
Yeah.
You
Can't.
know,
Yep.
I mean, that
Yep.
55-23 route by the Eagles, I mean, that was, this. I'm like, really? Is this what it's going to be like? you know?
Well, they're a young team and they got finessed, and it happens. They're young.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that they're young. And you gotta take your spankings. You gotta take your spankings.
Yes, yes, and they did. That's for
Yeah.
sure. They did. Now the Bills Chief game was a lot more competitive. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
they were going back and forth. I mean that was a game right there. You knew you were in a fight. you know.
Yeah, yeah, and you kind of find out who wants it because I nothing against the tight end, but he dropped like three passes
Mm,
that
yeah,
could have made a difference.
definitely, definitely.
You know what I mean? So sometimes you can be on as Coach Prime says, the lights are bright, and sometimes you find out who's who when the lights are on.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
You know. So
it's gonna be
you know
interesting.
now coaching hires. Liam Cohen of the Bucks, he's the OC. He initially turned down a second interview with the Jags, and
To
then
be, to be head
yeah,
coach.
yeah. And then
Okay.
after they got rid of their GM, they called him back and he took the job.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that was about, but
No,
that
I
was
could tell you if you want to know.
go ahead.
It's simple. If I'm the head coach, right, and my GM and I don't see eye to eye or have a different mindset of how to move forward, like Bill
Mm,
Parcells says, if I should be able to shop for some of the groceries if you expect me to do the cooking.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
can make your franchise not be successful. And then the coach knows, well, if I don't win, they're gonna fire me.
right,
So if the
right.
GM and I are not on the same page, it ain't gonna work. He
Mhm.
wants people he wants, but he's not on the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I get measured by wins and losses. He can hide behind different stuff and it didn't work out, or da, da, da. There's no excuses for coaching. Either you win or you lose. That's
Mm.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah, and the ownership figured that's what it was. Fired the dude, called him back, and said, "Hey, would you take it now that he's not here?" And the coach says, "Oh, all right, we good," because
Yeah.
he may have gotten both spots. Maybe he's GM
So
and coach. Yeah,
organization and team culture, it kind of leads into that, doesn't it?
it absolutely does, because that is where you have the difference between organizations who probably every 10 years make a run for the Super Bowl, right?
Hmm.
And so all of my Bengal friends they mad at me because I'm telling them Joe Burrow won't be there in 3 years. If they don't figure out how to win within the next 3 years, I said San Francisco's in a total rebuild, which I told you when that debacle happened, where they went to the fourth quarterback.
Mm.
I said they're done. The team psyche is done. You can't bounce back from that.
You know
You know what
what's
I mean?
funny? Mahomes' kryptonite is Joe Burrow.
Well, that may be, but Joe ain't got no Super Bowls. So I don't
Now,
know how well that kryptonite is working.
well, he's the only one who seems to be able to beat him.
And that's cool. But if it never gets you to, that's the part of the situation with that organization
Mm,
that they just, I don't know what is in the mojo, but that's
mm,
cool. But it really doesn't mean anything if you beat me regular season, but I win the championship. What does it
yeah.
matter? I keep trying to tell people that it doesn't matter. What matters is when the money is on the table.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
And with that, I pass it back to you, man.
Okay. Gonna switch gears a bit for the NBA.
Oh yeah,
Kobe.
the
Okay.
man, the legend.
January 26th marks 5 years since he died in that helicopter crash with his daughter and seven other people.
Yeah,
It was just a really, really sad day in sports. I mean, he came into the NBA straight out of high school
yeah.
and won 5
Hmm.
championships and a regular season MVP. I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that, you
No.
know, you know, and he was just his legacy will just live on, it'll
Yeah,
just live on. So now the NBA renamed the All-Star Game MVP award in his honor.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, which was a good thing, and he's won it 4 times, so, you know. So,
Absolutely. That was
just
smart.
yeah, definitely a nice tribute to him. Now, Vince Carter. Now,
Yeah,
when his preferred numbers of 6, 12, and 23 were taken as a freshman basketball player in high school, his mother told him, find a number and make it famous.
mm,
And he took that number 15 all the way to the Hall of Fame
wow,
and had it retired in Toronto and now Brooklyn.
wow. Has
So
anybody ever done that in
um,
two cities?
I'm not really sure. I'm
You
not
the
really
trivia
sure.
master?
Yeah,
Really?
I gotta look into that. His family was on hand along with Coach Frank and Rod
Oh,
Thorne. And He becomes the seventh Nets player to have his number retired.
I
And
wonder. I wonder if Julius's numbers up there.
yeah, yeah, he was joined by the doctor,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
Bill Melchione, and Buck Williams.
Oh,
They were
wow.
all they were all at the cemetery at the ceremony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that was a nice tribute for him, you know, and he deserves it. He really
Oh,
deserves it.
yeah. I
Now,
mean, yeah.
you know, now the All-Star game, Steph, LeBron, and KD, they're going to start for the West, and this might be the last time they all play together.
That's a safe. That's a safe. That's a safe bet.
You
They
know,
have now become the old guard. Yep.
exactly, exactly. And Shea Gilgis Alexander and Luca are going to round out the starting five for them.
Makes sense.
Now for the East, Carl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are going to represent the Knicks as starters for the first time since Frazier and Monroe did it 50 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm telling you, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. So, they're going to play with Giannis, Donovan Mitchell, and Jason Tatum to round out their starting five. So,
Wow. That is crazy.
that is, man, I'm telling you. So,
Mm.
now, so the draft process, what's your take on it?
The draft process is just like an eight-fingered octopus. And what I mean is the draft process is really become another moneymaker for the NFL.
Mm,
Right.
yeah,
And I was talking to some people and they say, well, why do you say that? It's because most of the players there you don't really know.
right.
I said, if I asked you who the last number one draft picks, you couldn't tell me. Couldn't tell me. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like anything else. It's a business. So they sell it and they got the combine and you got all this stuff going on, but it's just it's a moneymaker to generate revenue and all that good stuff. And because ultimately it's all about opportunity.
Yeah.
Can you make the most of your opportunity? And one of my favorite interviews was the interview with James Harrison, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hmm.
So he got cut. I don't know if you know the story. He got cut about four times.
Okay.
He went to Kent State. He got cut about four times. And about the third or fourth time, he started to figure it out that he needed to know the playbook. It just wasn't about talent,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so he never went to the combine. He never got drafted. So he's doing this interview, and the interview goes, "Well, what were your numbers at the combine?" And James looks at him like, you know how James puts that face on, and he says, "You don't know me." He said, "Well, oh, where'd you get drafted?" And he looks the other way. You really don't know me. And he says, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "I didn't get drafted or go to the combine. I basically walked on."
Mm,
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
so, that's why I say there's a funny thing about the draft because you can be projected this, that, and the other, but you don't know the culture you're stepping in. You don't know the desire to win from the front office. You don't know if you're getting a janky GM or a janky coach who doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like Warren Sapp tells a story of when he was in Tampa, some crazy decisions the head coach wanted to make in leaving one of the star players because he wanted to get to the field or something just really unreasonable.
Mm,
And these are the things that people don't realize. Just like you have people in the office you work with, and bosses and super who just make stupid decisions. Same things happen in sports.
I see a lot of that.
Yeah. They don't know what they're doing. They got a position. They don't know how to, you know what I'm saying? They don't know how to lead and they just jack it up. And that's what happens to many organizations. You
Mm,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because you asked me now, the question I saw to this point, now I'll let it go, is now the question is because of the kid with the Commanders, is Caleb Williams good? You see how it always falls back on the athlete?
Mm.
No, Caleb Williams is a great talent. The reality is he's got a sucky organization and a front office and a coach and who don't know what they're doing with the talent. That's why I keep saying this up. You can have talent, but if you don't know how to develop it, you're losing.
Well, we'll have to pick that up another time.
Uh, I know, my friend. I know. Smarterfan podcast, a global Smarterfans. We got Smarterfans Japan, Asia, Ukraine, all over the world. So the Smarterfan family is growing by leaps and bounds. It's a good year,
Yes,
2025.
yes, it
It's a
is.
good year, my friend. So as we always say to our friends and family, stay
Stick
in
in the
the
game.
game.
All right. Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Be well.
Smarterfan.